What is your favorite game or game series of all time?
Uncharted.
Really?
I love Uncharted so much. The adventure, the settings of all of the games I enjoy greatly. I love the characters. It's the perfect balance of like action and humor for me in a video game.
Yeah.
So that's I would say that that's my favorite series of all time.
Without further ado, let us introduce Zachywhack. Welcome along.
Hi.
How are we
Thank
doing?
you for having me.
That's all right. It's an absolute pleasure. Oh, what's happened there? You've gone small. Perfect.
Oh, did I break something?
No,
Oh,
I
God.
broke something. That's all right. I'm quite used to
Okay.
breaking things. So yeah, if you don't, and for some odd reason, follow Zach, you really should. So go follow him. There's his socials and stuff. And I'm just going to get straight in there with asking you some questions.
All right, I'm ready.
So let's start with food. What is your favorite meal?
Oh, my favorite meal. I love a good chicken parm.
Chicken
Like
parm?
a really good chicken parm is hard to beat.
Ooh. I can roll with that.
A really good chicken parm is hard to find in a restaurant, but when you find one that sings just right, that's my favorite.
Does anybody at home make a good chicken parm?
I make a good chicken parm.
Ah, good. Oh, that's quite convenient if you can cook your own favorite meal.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I'm a steak and fries person, but I'm shit at cooking steak, so it has to be restaurant food. I
understand.
That sounds good. You're a tea or coffee person?
A little bit of both. For a long time I didn't drink coffee because my anxiety would just go absolutely bonkers. But lately I've been able to meter it off a little bit. So I like some Earl Grey and also like some coffee. But most of the time lately coffee.
That's fair. That's fair. I think we're gonna lose you for 2 seconds here while we do that. There we go. Sorry, just a chin shot for a second there.
Totally fine.
And when it comes to tea, is that breakfast tea or is that a flavored tea or a?
I like Earl Grey.
With or without lemon?
Without.
Oh.
I do without lemon, and you're probably gonna hate me just a little bit.
Does it have
I got in
milk
the
it?
habit. I was out of sugar one morning, and I was having Earl Grey, and I was like, let's try this. So I put honey in it.
Oh, that's perfect.
And okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm an Earl Grey, honey, and lemon, but there's no milk in this, right?
No.
Okay, right, good.
But occasionally, like Locke really likes London Fogs, so occasionally I'll make those. I'll make like steamed milk with sugar and Earl Grey.
Yeah, that's a proper drink. That's good. We're adhering to British rules on tea. I appreciate it.
Right.
This is very important.
We don't microwave tea in this house.
What about non-alcoholic drinks in general? Are you a soda person? Are you a juice person? What's your?
I don't drink a lot of soda. When I do, I like Dr. Pepper. But most of the time, like I drink like 100 ounces to a gallon of water a day most of the time. So I try to drink like a lot of water.
That's really healthy. Yeah, it's really good for you. I can't do it. It's got to have something in it. I can do like the tiniest bit of cordial and like a whole glass of water. But if you just give me water, I'm bored.
I understand. It's become like for a long when I was a child, I don't remember drinking water at all until I was like in college. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if this is why I feel bad all the time because I haven't had this water. So I got in the habit of actually like drinking water.
Oh, what a sensible human being. What about alcohol? Do you drink?
Yeah.
What's your beverage of choice?
My beverage of choice most of the time is like a Cabernet, like a glass of wine.
Good red.
I also like darker or amber beers. Cocktail every once in a while, but mostly like a Cabernet.
Nice. Speaking of cocktails, if you made your own cocktail, what would you call it? And please tell me it's related to that t-shirt.
Oh, the Mermaid Man.
Just call it the Mermaid Man. I love it.
It could be, the Mermaid. What would a Mermaid Man cocktail be? It'd be like
something.
It would be blue. It would have to be
You'd have
blue.
to have blue curacao and some green stuff going on. But what's the Zaki cocktail looking like? What are you calling it?
Zaki cocktail. It would be bourbon, almost definitely. It'd be like, I would find some way to make a twist on like an old fashioned with like bourbon and like cherry and orange. But I would do something a little bit different with the twist of the citrus. Maybe I'd use a different citrus. Hi, Luck.
Ooh.
Yes, Luck.
Guest star, right?
Ellen, can I step away for like Luck says there's an emergency? Can I step away for like 2 minutes?
100%.
Okay.
welcome, and with us. While we are waiting for Zach to sort a couple of things out, I'm just going to mute him just briefly, just in case he comes through. I understand that something's going on there. If you are here from Zach's channel, you would know of the SAS, who are absolutely amazing. The Secret Adventurers Society, ! SAS, if you're interested, which is the D&D channel that he DMs for. We have recently become an almost full-time D&D stream. So, should you wish at any point, this madman here, that would be me, is DMing 5 campaigns a week. Well, 4 campaigns in a one-shot. You can find these on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday for the main campaigns. And on Saturday, we run a weekly one-shot. Should you wish to play, come join the Discord, ! Discord. Should you wish to watch them, they are available on YouTube, or you can catch us live. All the details in the schedule below. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. Crazy us. In terms of SAS, if you don't watch them, I honestly don't watch them live. I watch them on YouTube. I'm 90% sure it's a Wednesday evening. It may even say, if we go to the command, let's have a look and find out if it says, I'm 90% sure it's a Wednesday evening. Yes, it is a Wednesday evening. I've just checked on the channel. If you haven't seen the SAS, watch it from the beginning, for a start. Fall in love with Kez, hate Pierce, love the twist on Twister. Yeah, just watch it. It's absolutely beautiful. Also, oh my goodness, Mnemonic Man, I believe that is pronounced. Thank you very much for the follow. I really appreciate that. Welcome to the Dark Pond. Please leave my pond life the fuck alone. Yeah, and I did not bring anything prepped to talk about, so let's talk. How are you? What are you guys up to? What is your day like? What brings you here? What is your favorite Zach moment of all time? I don't know. Fill me in. Give me some information, because I have prepped nothing to run with. Look who's back. That is perfect.
I am so...
No, you're absolutely fine. Emergencies are emergencies.
The dog got stung by a wasp,
oh, no.
and Locke was like panicking, trying to figure out what medicine to give her. So like her face is very swollen, but she's okay. She's walking around wagging.
Oh, bless her.
So
do you give dogs medicine for wasp sting? They're probably naturally ready for it.
It's kind of like an allergic reaction, I think, and like we've given the dogs loratadine, which is just Claritin.
Yeah.
We've given them that before. We've given them Benadryl before. So we were trying to figure out which of the two she needed to have.
Oh, bless her.
So, yeah, I think she's okay. She's not lethargic or anything. Her face is just kind of swollen.
Oh.
She was out there with me while I was pressure washing the deck, and I think I might have like knocked a wasp loose, like a nest loose, and it might have gone after her for some reason instead of me.
Poor bugger.
But either way, I am so sorry.
No, you're all good. You're not on my screen yet. No, yeah, there we go. Okay. Just correct me if I'm wrong. I don't actually watch SAS live ever because it's in the middle of the night for me. It is a Wednesday night that it's.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Because while I was sort of wondering what to talk about, you know, because I didn't bring a prepped, just chatting. Yeah, I mentioned it and I just suddenly thought, shit, you know what? I don't even know when it goes live because I watch it on YouTube every week. Because I'm not watching it at 4 a.m. Sorry.
No, that's completely reasonable. I do believe.
It's one of the few things I don't do at 4 a.m.
Yeah. We're actually live 7:30 Central, like U.S. Central time.
Yeah, which is 1:30 in the morning for me, so that'd be why.
Yeah, that's pretty late. I can't hold that against you.
So we have a twisted old fashioned for the Zach's cocktail.
Yeah, I'm wondering about like pomegranate inside the old fashioned.
I've done apple.
Like maybe
the pomegranate
apple would
brilliant.
be pretty good. I do like apple. Or like there's already orange. I don't think grapefruit would be really good.
Nah.
I'm going through my.
Yeah. So do we know any other citrus fruits? Somebody find.
What about blood orange?
It's a very classic.
What about
a very classic old-fashioned twist. Blood orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're a fan of the old-fashioned. And realistically, if you use the right whiskey and you call it yours, you can have it. Because I think every bar has their own old-fashioned. That's their own version of this whiskey with this bit of orange and this bit of cherry, and you know.
We can call it like we rated a stream the other day, and someone said it was a whack attack, so we could call it like a whack attack. I feel like
that's a brilliant name. That reminds me of PT asking me yesterday if we sell quack in this channel because of the ducks.
Quack.
And I was like, I need a t-shirt with this on.
Oh my god.
It's always other people that come up with the right merch for your channel, isn't it?
Right, but I mean it's
whack attack. That's fantastic.
As it should be.
I love it. How are you on your movies? Are you a little bit of a movie person?
I am.
Yeah.
I enjoy a nice film.
Favorite film or series of all time?
God, it's of all time is hard to say, but it's over the past 2 or 3 years has been I can't remember. I think it was 2 years ago that it came out. Knives Out. It's very difficult for me to get away from Knives Out as like
Really?
the most perfectly written.
What's that about? I haven't heard of it.
It's Ryan Johnson who directed The Last Jedi, but
Yep.
it's a new twist on a murder mystery,
Mm.
and it's like this really rich shitty family who their dad dies, and they assume it's a suicide, but there I don't know. It's this really well done.
It's really hard, isn't it, to explain the plot of a murder mystery without telling us the plot of the murder mystery?
Really
Yep.
It really is. But it's this really nice twist on a murder mystery, and it's like got some really stinging social commentary, and it's so funny. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's got Jamie Lee Curtis and Chris Evans.
Oh wow! Okay, I really should have heard of this.
Daniel Craig. It's a pretty loaded cast. So I would
have to check this out.
I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, we'll have a look.
For your next movie
Speaking of Daniel Craig, etc., who would you say is your favorite actor or actress?
My favorite actor or actress.
Or one of each, if it's easier.
Okay. Going through. You know, I can usually answer this question if someone hasn't asked me this question.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Who's an actor that if you see the name, you think, I'm going to watch that?
Okay. Oh my God, this is so hard. Why is this so hard?
Because we're putting you on the spot. That's what
Michael B. Jordan.
Good choice.
I'll watch most things with Michael B. Jordan in it. I will watch. Let's see, I'm trying to think of actresses. Charlize Theron. I'll watch just about anything that she's in.
She's phenomenal.
I watched The Old Guard last weekend.
That is such a good film. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
I'm so brilliant. Obsessed. I'm reading the graphic novel now. There's a
graphic novel? Shit,
yeah, it was a graphic novel first.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was a graphic novel that came out in 2017, and then the people that were the creative team behind the graphic novel actually wrote the film as well. And so there's a new sort of like an anthology comic series that's coming out monthly right now that I'm loving.
Oh, I've never been a comic person, but it is such a good film. I love that.
So
as soon as you said Charlize Theron, I was thinking, oh my God, I watched The Old Guard a few months back and it was amazing. It was it blew my mind. That's
as good as anything.
Yeah.
She's got a long list of credentials, and I think that's as good as anything she's ever been in.
Yeah. And she held the whole film down, I think, as well, which does help. When it comes to movies, do you notice the soundtrack much? Are you a soundtracky kind of guy?
Oh yeah.
What movie soundtrack comes to mind when I say standout soundtrack?
Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse is the first thing that comes to mind.
Brilliant. Do you know that's the only question where no matter who I ask, I get a different answer every time.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought when I wrote the question, I thought we're going to get Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Star Wars. Oh, and Jurassic Park over and over again. And then every time someone says something, I think, they're right. Pirates of the Caribbean. I never thought of the soundtrack until someone said it, and I went, it's got a fantastic soundtrack.
Yep.
Yeah, and Spider-Verse, I mean, that's really brilliant. It's another one where I don't think great soundtrack Spider-Verse, but when I think Spider-Verse and I think soundtrack, I think, yeah, I'm in. I'm in. That's brilliant. Great music right now.
Yeah, I will, like, if I need to get hyped, like if I need a lot of energy, I will listen to the Spider-Verse soundtrack.
Oh, that's really cool. I'm rubbish with listening to movie soundtracks outside of, like, the movie. But
I usually am too, but Spider-Verse.
Yeah, because when you then hear it later, I mean, I'm a sucker for like the sort of Hans Zimmer stuff, and and it really captures you. So yeah,
any of Nolan's movies have great soundtracks.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
And Tarantino as well. There's so little music, but when you listen to the soundtrack, you realize how much good music there is.
Right.
So yeah, that's a definite for me. If you could be part of a movie universe, and I don't mean in the plot of the film at all.
Sure.
You could just be in the world, in the universe. What universe
Living
would you
there.
choose? Yeah.
Man, it's hard to not say Star Wars. I know that's kind of just a bargain bin answer, but yeah, I think
there's a reason why it's so successful. The world is awesome.
Yeah.
Where in the Star Wars universe would you live?
I feel like I would be the most chill on Naboo. Like Naboo is one of my favorite planets because it's like it's so serene. There's so much, like so many water features.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do well on Coruscant.
I want to go chill with the Wookiees.
Yeah,
That's me. I'm quite happy with the Wookiees.
Yeah, I could vacation in the Wookiee trees for sure. I would have fun there.
Naboo. That's yeah. I mean, I do think it's a sign of, because there's a lot of good things about a lot of good films, right? But when you say where do you want to be in the universe, I've almost exclusively only had Harry Potter and Star Wars as answers, and that's because they are such finished worlds, right?
Right.
You know, in the Star Wars universe, I mean, you could live in the Star Wars universe, and I could ask that question of 1,000 people, and they'd all have a different place in the Star Wars universe, like a different moment in time, or a different, different place within the same world. It's just, it's so complete, and I think that, that sells it to us.
Yeah, it's so diverse in the, like, if you say something like Lord of the Rings, you're going to be like basically, Middle Earth. It's going to be old, like, old high fantasy sort of deal. Yeah. But and if you say Star Wars, you could be living in the city on Coruscant. You could be living in, the woods, like you were saying, hanging out with the
Wookiees
on Kashyyyk. Like there's a million different things that you could do, and it's indicative of each individual's personality.
And weirdly enough, given how much danger there is in Star Wars, it would be far less dangerous than living in a lot of movie universes we see. I wouldn't want to live in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I wouldn't want to live in Lord of the Rings, in Middle Earth. I'd be dead. Right. Whereas I'm quite happy just chilling with the Wookiees. Yeah, I think it's a real mark to Star Wars that we hear that so much. Let's talk about music. What is your favorite band or artist? Or what band or artist comes to mind when that question is heard?
I feel like Foo Fighters is the most consistent throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
I also really, really love Weezer. They're a close second. Green Day, OK Go, I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
We're actually, like, this summer, like, now that concerts might get to start happening
might
again.
exist.
Yeah. We had tickets for like before everything got canceled. We had tickets to see Green Day, Weezer, and Fall Out Boy.
What a brilliant concert.
On their Hella Mega Tour, and that got postponed. It's been postponed for like a year and a half now, but it seems like it might happen this summer.
That's going to be a gig and a half.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I love that kind of music, actually, and it leads me into the next question, because I was going to say, give me a nostalgic high school song. What song brings back nostalgic high school days? And just while you're thinking, for me, that is Green Day. Good Riddance. Every time.
Okay, yeah,
that is like, because it was our school leaving song, actually, and it was just like, it's just stuck with me throughout. So I hear it and I'm like, oh my god, I'm 14,
And none of the old people at graduation know that the song is called Good Riddance. So that's another thing. I would have to say Welcome to the Light Parade by My Chemical Romance. I feel like that's
well, that's not it. You don't even need the nostalgia of the whole track. You can just have the first note, right?
Right.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Boom, we're in. Yep, got it. I can sing the rest. Speaking of singing the rest, karaoke number? If you get forced to get up on stage, karaoke, what comes out of your mouth?
Let's see. What can I get away with? I'm trying to think of something that is like popular enough that people would recognize it and have fun, and I could get away with singing it in karaoke. It would probably be something. Everlong by Foo Fighters, maybe.
That's a great song.
No.
I've got a friend who got married to that song.
Maybe Beverly Hills by Weezer. I might be able to get away with that one.
Yeah, that'd be a good track. I got a friend who's actually walked down the aisle to Everlong, which is that's super cool.
Glorious. I bet that was like incredibly emotional.
Yeah.
Because like I can't listen to that song without crying anyway. No. So that's probably not a good karaoke song. I would be like weeping in front of everyone.
Yeah. For me, I think I quite enjoy a good song, but Mr. Brightside is one of those where there's like, I think there's three notes in the whole song. There's only 3 notes in the whole song, and everybody else will sing along, so you don't have to be heard. It's that's great for a getaway with song.
Yeah. And like, if you know the first verse, you also know the second verse.
Yes, exactly.
So
and the third. Yep.
Yeah.
What if you had to sing a duet with Locke? That might be even more intimidating than karaoke, right?
If I had to sing a duet with Locke, it would be something from a musical, I'm sure. But what?
Oh, that's sweet. Are we talking like sort of a musical in terms of like the ultimate sort of finale of
I feel like
Romeo
it would
and
be something
Juliet,
goofy.
or are we like
I feel like
singing
it would be
like
something
popular from Wicked?
I'm trying to think of like goofy male female musical numbers.
So it's not the whole new world, for example.
Right.
I think you two would see it's super cute singing that together.
The thing is, Locke would never allow it. Whereas if
No,
we were singing,
she told me straight up, she was like, I'm not doing karaoke, I'm not singing in front of anybody. I was like, yeah, but if you did.
Yeah, I'm the same way with karaoke. I'm not a huge fan, but at the same time, that's if with a gun to my head, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
So if Locke and I were doing
just the two of you in the car, nobody else is going to hear it. You're not a karaoke. Like, what's a song that you enjoy or would enjoy singing with Locke?
God, that's a tough. Can we come back to that one?
We can come back to that one.
Okay, because I'm gonna have to ponder.
Give me a party anthem. What's your get up and go song?
Party anthem, get up and go song. Holiday by Green Day.
Yeah, that's a track and a half. That's a good driving song as well. It
is.
That's like got a real vibe to it, got a real beat, and yeah.
That's one of my. I have like. I need to make a playlist because I've got a playlist in my head, but I've never made an actual thing. When I'm on a long drive and I feel the eyelids starting to get heavy,
yeah,
I'm like, I've got songs, and I'm like, okay, we got to make it to the next exit at least, and that's like Holiday or BYOB by System of a Down, or like I don't know. I've
actually had that very moment. I was in the car driving my husband back to where his parents are from, and it's quite a long drive, and I was getting droopy. It was sort of quite early in the morning. And he put on Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle. And that was my sort of...
That's a good one.
Okay, I'm awake now, let's go. No, pile it down to yeah.
I'm literally Googling...
classic Disney duets or musical duets, yeah. There's lots of good things going on. I mean, nowadays musicals are different to what they used to be.
Sure.
Are we talking Broadway musical, yeah?
Well, I mean, it could be. I just love musicals in general.
Yeah. Because I was thinking of the Love Medley from Moulin Rouge. That is quite a cute one. Although it is her saying, "No, I won't sleep with you unless you pay me." So perhaps not the best duet for husband and wife.
Okay. Here's one. Like we were several years ago. We were actually a part of Shrek the Musical, and there is a kind of a funny. Like a competition male-female duet in that musical called I Think I Got You Beat, and it's just like Shrek and Fiona trying to outgross each other.
Yeah, that's a brilliant track. Yeah, absolutely love it.
That would be. What about you and Josh? What would be your duet?
Oh god, a disaster, an absolute shit show train wreck. That's what that would be. So we have quite a strange relationship because we regularly sing together in the car, and he knows all the words to everything. But we quite happily admit that he is tone deaf. And I can sing in tune, but don't know the words to fucking anything. So we actually make quite a good team in that he says the words and I sing them. But it would
you can hit the notes of the word.
Yes, but I just don't know what I'm singing at the time. And he's going to kill me for not knowing the exact name of the song. I will give it to you in a second. It's in the finale of Will and Grace. It's Karen and Jack. It's also Nat King Cole and his daughter, I think, or Natalie Cole. It's Unforgettable. Unforgettable, or Lionel Richie and whatever her name is doing Endless Love. It's the sort of thing.
That's a good one.
If we're listening to them in the car, I will take the female part and he will take the male part automatically, and we will sing along. So, yeah, that's an ass. Right. Yeah.
I think Locke and I have actually sung "Light My Candle" from Rent in the car together many years ago.
What a track! Yeah. That is brilliant.
I think we've done that. So that's another good one. That's another.
Yeah.
Good one. I was just brain farting on
track. Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Like a duet. Suddenly you think, oh shit, really? Those things? Yeah, I forgot about them. Let's get really deadly serious and talk about video games because they're important. What is your favorite game or game series of all time?
Uncharted.
Really?
I love Uncharted so much.
That's for a loop. Was not expecting that.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
I love the just the mechanics of them all, and like the adventure, the settings of all of the games I enjoy greatly. I love the characters. It's the perfect balance of like action and humor for me in a video game.
Yeah.
So I would say that's my favorite series of all time.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was expecting something a bit more. Not that Uncharted isn't classic, but I was thinking of something more, sort of typical, I guess.
Something a bit more like from the 90, like something a bit more expansive.
Exactly.
On the timeline.
Okay. Not Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy. Those sorts of things.
Sure.
What game are you playing off stream at the moment? What catches your eye?
Off stream at the moment.
If you get moments that are off stream where you get to play a video game.
That's not often.
Solitaire, right? Or Candy Crush.
Right. I plan Dungeons and Dragons off stream. Does that count? No.
Do you? I didn't know that. That's really cool.
You play off stream, yeah.
I didn't. Yeah.
I was saying I planned, but yeah, we've got a home game as well that I actually play.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That we've actually got a group that gets to get together in person. It's rad. But as far as off stream, really the only game that I'm playing off stream at the moment is World of Warcraft. Every Saturday we've got like a raid. Like a lot of people do it for their alt characters.
It's the alt raid.
Like,
if anybody watches Lock, it's known as the alt raid.
Exactly.
I didn't know you were going along to that. I watched that most weeks. It's a lot of fun. Just didn't know you were there, quietly in the background. What was your favorite game from childhood? Like sort of really young childhood. Where did gaming first begin for Zachywhack?
It was on N64.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I had the most hours of anything in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. That first Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah.
Also close contender. God. There's Banjo-Kazooie.
Crash Bandicoot.
Diddy Kong Racing was another one, but as far as the one that I had the most time in as a kid, it was definitely like the first Tony Hawk Pro Skater on N64.
Yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was one of those games that just not only did it suck you in, but then somebody would come round and it would suck them in, and then right. And you'd have different sort of game modes you play with different friends, and those are the days.
Just be like, the rounds are only like 2-3 minutes long. Let's just do one more round, and then you look up and 6 hours have passed.
Yeah, no, fantastic games. What game would you say really needs a remake? Or would you like to see remade, I suppose?
Good question. A remake. I was not expecting.
No?
They're
not all the same questions. You can't research them. No, I know, but just in general.
I've seen your interviews. Like I know that you're a good very good interviewer.
Appreciate
it. But I hadn't expected my thinking cap to have to be on so tightly. A game that needs to be remade.
Not necessarily because it was bad the first time, merely because you'd like to see it resurge.
I think GoldenEye 007 from N64 needs to be remade into kind of an open world sort of, not necessarily open world, but like third person shooter RPG sort of deal, in which like you can play James Bond, or there's an option where you can like play your own agent, but it's sort of that same thing. You have the ability to play. I feel like that game would benefit enormously from online play.
Yeah. Are we touching the multiplayer other than making it online?
Yeah.
Just graphically or like gameplay wise?
Gameplay wise, I feel like people would have a lot of fun in like matches with friends. Like that was one of those games that you would sit around and play for hours with friends, like 4 people with the split screen mode.
For me personally, it's the best console-based multiplayer game ever to exist.
I don't think I disagree.
Unbelievable multiplayer fun.
Yeah. And it was one of those games. It was like it changed everything about first person shooters, So I feel like now that I'm sitting here thinking about why the hell hasn't that been remade?
They've tried to use what was good in GoldenEye in new James Bond games and failed miserably, because what they need to do is remake the damn game, because it won't get better. Yeah, and I
remake the game, but like do what you did to Final Fantasy VII, right? Like make it more.
Yeah. Give us the same thing, but more of it, and with good graphics. Yeah, that's all we ask.
Make it.
Don't fuck it up. Bring it to today.
It's such a hard line, right? It's such a hard line to find on a game like that people are so nostalgic about. Because if you make the game exactly like it was and give it to modern audiences, they're going to hate it.
Yeah.
Because that's like gaming has evolved so much. So you have to make it feel like you remember it feeling like it's a game of nostalgia, which is it's hard to pull off. But
it is complicated. Who is your favorite character from a video game?
Favorite character from a video game? Ellie from The Last of Us.
Wow.
I think
that is The Last of Us is not something I've witnessed. So tell me a little bit about Ellie.
Okay.
What makes her such a good character?
Sure. I typically don't get into like dystopian fiction. Like it's just typically not my jam. But for some reason, The Last of Us is a franchise that I love so much because like Ellie is a character who is so like she's so deeply flawed, but at the same time, there's this optimistic part of her who is trying like this optimistic part of her that's trying so hard to exist. And it's so interesting, and they do such a good job of exploring the darkness that she has to live in and the type of person they make you think a lot about the type of person that Ellie would be if she existed in the time that we live in now where there's not this dystopia, if that makes sense. Like she's just a fucking nerd. She's just a nerd, but she has to exist in this like
is there an element of the fact that she's relatable as a human being that could be a human being today that then being put in that situation? It's almost like seeing a reflection of yourself being put in that situation. Not suggesting that you are Ellie, but like it gives that sort of humanity to such an absurd fiction, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's the same. It's the same as like finding any amount of relatability with any character. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But like, it's the type of thing that like, oh, this could be a person that I know, but she's had to adapt and do all of these terrible things just in order to survive. But all she just wants to be a nerd. Like if she existed in our world, she'd be playing D&D with us. You know?
Yeah, that to me is the sort of thing I got with not Dying Light, what's it called? The Walking Dead. I recently watched my husband play through Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And you could see people who were so desperately trying to just be humans that you would relate to in such a world where they're twisted and turned into a dark sort of, and I really got relatability to that. I think it's the first video game I've ever cried watching someone else play. I was a state. So I get that. I really get that sort of relatability side of it. Let's talk about some personal you. I'm going to strand you on a desert island. Can't communicate, can't get any more of anything, can't escape, can't get rescued. It's safe to say you've got everything you need to survive. You've got your survival knife, your book, your whatever. And there you are, thrust upon this island. But you can take some things with you. You're going to be there for a while. One material possession.
One material possession. My copy of The Martian. The book.
Oh, you get a book.
Oh, I get something different besides a book?
You will get a book as well. Like I'm going to ask you one book. Okay. So we've got the book coming.
Okay. So one material possession. So that's my answer for that.
Yeah.
One material possession. Material.
I'm just staring straight at this D&D dice behind you.
Yeah,
I'm loving it.
A set of dice, probably. Yeah.
It's because you can have fun for days, right, with that. Here's one just for you that I added in because I thought, why not? One melee weapon, like traditional, almost old school melee weapon. I don't mean you can't. Doesn't have to be a machete. You can take a halberd if you like. Just one melee weapon to survive.
I don't have the upper body strength I need for a sword. So what about like a short sword?
Yeah,
like a dagger. That seems like it would have its use as well.
Yeah, definely. I mean, not necessarily because you're going to be beset by wild orcs, but I just could see you wielding a weapon in a section. Somebody said a glaive. What a brilliant answer.
That would be a good.
It would be great.
I would have to do some push-ups a bit. Like Locke's warglaive that she has behind her in her office is incredibly heavy. It's not an actual weapon. Like it's got dulled edges, but I feel like if someone broke into our house, even though it's not a weapon, that would be the thing that I would go for.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've got a samurai sword down there that's blunt as hell, but I tell you what, not only is it heavy enough to hit someone with hard, But can you imagine the look on a burglar's face when you walk down the stairs with a war glaive?
Right, exactly.
Like,
when
they're
you walk
leaving.
toward them with a samurai sword or a war glaive that's got green gems on it,
Yeah.
like, come on.
They're
gonna
gone.
shit
Like,
themselves.
there is no, he could be holding a gun. He will leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. One music album.
American Idiot.
I thought that one was coming. One book. You mentioned The Martian, your copy of The Martian. Tell me what this is.
So there was a movie that was actually nominated for an Academy Award too, but there's it's a book called The Martian by
It is the
Andy
same
Weir.
as the
it's
right,
the same
okay.
thing, but
Right.
the book. I mean, I don't want to beat this guy, but like the book is obviously better.
Always,
blah blah blah.
yeah.
But it's just my preference. But the book is actually funnier, and it's oddly enough it's appropriate because it's a book about this guy being stranded on Mars.
Yeah.
So it seems like not only would it be entertaining for me, it's like one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book, it might also give me some ideas for survival.
Yeah.
So
Some, there's always someone going through worse, right?
yeah, exactly.
You're on a desert island, not Mars.
I can at least go outside
Yeah.
and still breathe.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can agree with that. And one person.
Locke.
I asked her this question, and I was very interested by her answer. Would she be useful on a desert island?
She would, because she is a problem solver by nature.
She mentioned that she'd be useful if she didn't have to worry about food.
Right. Right.
So,
I feel like there would be a symbiosis of usefulness between the two of us. I feel like we'd make a decent deserted island team, maybe.
she fills gaps for you, and vice versa, you think. Yeah, that's brilliant. So there you are, on your desert island, with a set of D&D dice, a short sword, American Idiot, a copy of The Martian, and Locke. What do you miss the most?
I miss video games,
Yeah.
Video games and just, are we talking about a thing or like
Anything.
people?
Anything.
Oh, my friend group, like my in-person friend group.
Yeah. Do you cope well on your own? Or
I do pretty well on my own.
Do you need the social interaction?
I was an only child until I was like 8, so like I grew up being kind of like learning how to entertain myself and figuring out, for better or worse, figuring out my thoughts and living in my own head. So I do fairly well alone, but obviously, we're all social creatures to some extent, right? So
yeah, people, but after people, video games. Yeah, definitely. I can run with that.
I thought it was like a thing. I misunderstood the question. I thought it was like a luxury that you missed from back.
But it's good. We got 2 answers for the price of 1. I loved it. We got a thing and an everything. Well, that's fine.
Isn't that just me cheating, though?
Yeah, give us 2 answers to every question. Why not? Let's talk about you as a streamer. Why did you, for the very first time, press go live?
Because Locke convinced me to. She was like, I think you'll be good at this.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was like, all right, I'll give this a
go. What did you first stream?
My first stream, I believe, was Overwatch.
What it might have been. There's something in my head that had that fact tucked away, and I was like, I'm sure he's going to say Overwatch, but I'm going to ask this question.
That was my first stream.
Yeah, I mean, like a bit of Overwatch.
And I was playing it on PC, and I had only been playing on PC. Like, I played for years on PS4, but I'd only been playing on PC for like 3 or 4 days because I had just gotten the PC and was able to start streaming. So it was intimidating. It wasn't great. I did real bad.
They make for great streams. Please tell me they make for great streams. I spend the whole of my shooting game streams dead.
That's fair.
I mean, at least with Overwatch, you respawn. We've recently been playing Apex, and I spend the whole time watching somebody else play the game because I've died.
The kill cam. Kill cam.
Yeah, well, you can follow your teammate for hours. So my teammates are still playing like 25 minutes later when I died on the floor when I first arrived. So yeah, well, at least with Overwatch, we still get to watch you play.
That's fair.
Speaking of which, what makes you a good streamer? Why should people come to your channel?
Am I though? No, I try to be chat focused. And I try very hard to. I mean, silliness is kind of at the forefront. We try to be as silly as we possibly can, but at the same time, It's so important to me that the community and the community that we have in chat is welcoming of anyone who would want to be there, anyone who wants to just hang out and crack jokes with us and make obscure references. Um, I basically, in a word, I try to make it welcoming.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very fair. Do you find it strange as a streamer not being the person that streams the SAS?
No,
Is it quite a luxury to just be able to DM and not have to focus on the stream?
It's a luxury that I try not to take for granted because I have so much going on. I've got like 47 tabs open. I've got all my books, my different dice. I've got lists.
Oh, you can't. I couldn't cope with rolling regular dice as well. I have to use a dice roller. Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I've got to feel it. Like I've got to feel it.
Right. I haven't got enough hands, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
If it's something like, I mean, there was when, spoiler alert, there was one time where a character actually died, and it was because they took, I think, 12d12 radiant damage or something crazy like that. So I didn't have 12d12s lying around, so I've got like a generator on my phone that I use for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got like a dice tray, and I've got all my source books, and I've got several Google documents open that have like all of the notes from the past few sessions and all the character sheets and everything. So I think if I were to be running the production side of that as well, I would split in half. So like the fact that Locke like can handle the production
so
is
well.
kind of like our production creative designer sort of deal. I feel like that's a luxury that I try not to take advantage of.
And you find it quite easy to trust that she will get it right?
Oh God, yeah. Because like I mean, there's nothing. Everything that we do, there's nothing. Now that we don't use maps, we just do like theater of the mind type stuff.
Sure.
There's nothing really that I have to trust her with, if that makes sense. Like it's a no-brainer.
That's the problem we have, because if my husband could stream for us when we do D&D, it would be in some ways a relief. But because I'm DMing and I use a lot of physical props like maps and music. I mean, expecting someone to do that when they're not the one who knows what's about to happen is impossible. And I suppose moving to the theater of mind thing means that it makes it a lot easier. Speaking of which, what's it like DMing for Locke?
She's sometimes she's too good at D&D. But I joke, but it is at its worst, it's frustrating because we can't talk about the things that we want to talk about in SAS, and that's really the only downside. Is
because you can't talk about it because she wants answers that you can't give because it would spoil
exactly.
Yeah,
So every once in a while she'll have something like, you know, hey, can we talk about this thing with Kess? And I'm like, not really. No,
Josh, pay attention. Yeah, 100%. I know what you mean with that one. Yeah, but at best.
And then there's also things that, like, you know, I'll want to talk about something, you know, something that Kess did in game, but at the same time, I don't want to coax her in a direction. I don't want her to feel that she is pressured to go down a direction that the character wouldn't go down naturally. Yeah. So it's a give and take, but at its best, which is what it usually is, I have not only Locke, but I have, you know, Steve-O and Goon, who all three of whom I trust like implicitly. But speaking specifically about Locke, I have someone who I know will take someone I trust, and there has to be trust not only between the player and the DM, but between the DM and the player.
Yeah.
And I have someone that I trust to take the story not only in interesting directions, but in directions that are often better than what I had come up with in the first place. So
that's the real reward as a DM, right?
It really is.
Is you write all of this world, and then they use it to create something better than what you'd envisaged. I think it's a wonderful moment. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think that that's frustrating, but as a DM, like there is no bigger high than, like, no greater high as a DM than like having something and being certain that your players are going to go one way and it doesn't even cross their mind to go in that direction.
Yep.
And it's, you know, it can be exhausting, but that's not the same as frustrating.
No.
If that makes sense.
I think, no, 100% I agree. Speaking of you as a DM, because I've recently become a D&D channel, so this is something I'd like to sort of investigate. What do you do in terms of prep? How much of a session do you prep? How much of it is improv? And what does a prep session for Zach look like?
It really depends. This past session, there wasn't really anything I could prep for. Because the way we had ended the previous session, I had no idea what the characters were going to do. I had no idea what they were going to give a shit about. Like, we ended with them succeeding at something.
Yeah.
And them having infinite options of what they wanted to do next. So it was just, last session was very much so, there was a whole lot of improv, but there were also, like, when there are infinite directions, I try to zone in on the things. It's when you have 3 players, it's a little bit easier to be like, okay, this player is often interested in this sort of thing, this player is often interested in this sort of thing, so you can, like, figure out what types of strategies they might try to go for. So I try to, like, think about what goals the players might have in the story, and I try to prep accordingly.
Yep.
And, you know, the trick that I've discovered, at least for me, is to be prepared, but also be prepared to improv. If that's, I mean, that's kind of a cliche, but I feel like
it makes sense. You're making sort of, you're prepping NPCs here and bits of world there and bits of that and bits of this. And I often leave half of the story untold. So I go kind of, that's an NPC. Yeah, he likes this thing. And then, like, he'll either get used or he won't. But that's where it gives me a basis for improv. Because I always find, like, the first thing you get, and I certainly with SAS, I wouldn't believe it if you told me that the majority of the NPCs were made up on the spot. Because they always seem to be grounded NPCs, right? So it says to me that you at least know their name and where they're from.
A lot of times I do, yes. Yeah. Like, there are a lot of NPCs, and I feel like if you watch, you can tell the difference in the ones that I know are going to exist, like the ones that I plan on, the ones I prep ahead of time.
I think I've only ever noticed one NPC, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember it was the first moment we were a long way in. I went, oh, he wasn't expecting to have to use that one. But it was we were a long way in, you know. It feels like you have a lot of NPCs generated.
I try to keep NPCs, at the very least, NPC names. I've got a list of fantasy names that I keep on my PC, so I can just, like, glance over any given time and look at those, and then we use names of people who watch the show if they tweet about it. And stuff like that. But
really cool touch, by the way.
we completely stole that from the Adventure Zone.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Shout out to the Adventure Zone. Well, I stole it from SAS.
It's a lovely chain of theft. Yeah. But a lot of my prep is figuring out, okay, if they meet an NPC, what is this NPC's motives? What is their accent, for example? What is their, like, what is their voice? What are their motivations? Are they benevolent? What would the character say that would piss them off? What would, like, there was, for example, there was one interaction where it was right before we started the Sci-Hoff arc, or I mean, as we were starting the Sci-Hoff arc, they were going through this town and they met these other adventurers, and I didn't know if they were going to get in a shootout with these characters or if they were going to be recruited as allies.
Yeah.
So, but I knew it was going to be a contentious meeting. So it's really exhilarating to give players something that they can screw up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
And, like, see how they maneuver through a tense situation.
Oh, Witcher, do you have a favorite NPC? Do you have somebody who you just feel like is a bit of a friend? Maybe a recurring theme?
I loved Nicole from the Sci-Hoff arc. Really, all three of those, Brenna, Mix, and Nicole. I loved them. I loved Captain Riddick.
Yeah. That must have been fun to play.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And Zeffy Elmason, who is kind of in a weird situation right now.
Yeah.
But Zeffy, who was the one who sent them to the mainland in the first place, I really enjoy her. I feel like she's an interesting character.
Yeah. And lastly, on the D&D note, what's your relationship like with Pierce? Not Steve-O, Pierce?
My relationship with Pierce.
Yes. Do you like him? Does anyone?
You're saying like if I met Pierce.
Just, I mean, well, you meet Pierce every week, right? Occasionally,
right, okay,
you just sit there and go, really?
I both don't like Pierce and I like Pierce a lot because I know I have trouble separating that question from my experience because like I know Steve-O and I know the places he wants to take that character.
Yeah.
And like, because Steve-O has said that Pierce is just a shit.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I asked Steve-O the same question. I said, what's your relationship like with Pierce? And he went, I hate him. I was like, okay, fair enough. Because he's very hateable.
As Pierce is, no, I do not like Pierce.
No.
But at the same time, like, Pierce has these elements of humanity and these elements of, like, okay, we all have our choices. There is a very loud car going down my street. Right. I apologize if that's...
It's very quiet.
Yeah. But we all have these choices in our lives as to which route we're going to take. Are we going to be benevolent? Are we going to be selfish? And it's interesting to see Pierce is developing very slowly, and that's by Steve-O's design, and it's a genius design.
It is.
And just the conversations that Steve-O and I have had about the character, like, yes, Pierce is a shit, but Steve-O is very aware of that. So it's not like I'm sitting here like, God, I wish Pierce would die. Like,
oh, no. I think as a DM, he obviously helps you a lot in a way that he gives such a different texture to, he's not your typical, noble, lawful, good character. Right. Yeah, I mean, I just mean like, if such a shit turned up to my session each week, despite loving Steve-O, occasionally I'd just be like, oh, that guy really is an asshole.
Yeah. But at the same time, if I can separate Steve-O from Pierce, watching Steve-O like find moments of exhilaration in roleplay, like jumping out of the window, for example, a few sessions ago, it's so fun knowing Pierce and like the humor that Steve-O is able to bring into it. I don't know. I don't hate Pierce, but were I to meet him, I would not like him.
See, I love to hate Pierce. That is my personal standpoint.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And looking at the three of them, I think it's fair to say that Kez is the heartstring puller. Kez, sorry, not Kez. Locke definitely does the heartstring pulls. You get emotionally attached. Pierce is the hated. Is it fair to say that Goon is the balance? Is the sort of more medium line for you? Or is he the one you can least expect what's coming? Because I always think I know what Goon's gonna do, and it turns out I never know what Goon's gonna do.
Yeah, I've been playing D&D with Goon for like 2.5 years now, and that's been the case for the entirety of that. I just to kind of like curveball a little bit here, there are times where I think Q is the heart of the party.
Oh, yes, I would agree with that. I think he's the heart of the party, but he's not the one that makes me want to cry. He's just
okay.
That's what I meant with Kess. I mean, Kess makes me emotional, whereas watching Goon, it's like watching Q is, you never know what's coming. It's like a tail twist, and yet if you were to sit back and from a standpoint go, well, we know what Q is like, so this is the decision to make. You might occasionally get it right, but he's just such a surprising player to watch, I find.
You know, you're right. I had not thought about it in those particular terms, but you're right. It's like Pierce, you can usually count on him. You can usually count on him making a selfish decision and then turning around and making a selfless decision where no one can see him do that.
Yeah.
And Kess, you can usually count on her being an emo druid, like an emo take on druid. Like you can usually count on her having an emotional connection to nature.
Kess is very easy to understand emotionally. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
exactly. And then Q, I feel like Q is kind of the wild card.
Yeah,
but at the same time, he's a wild card that keeps everything in balance.
Yeah,
because which it shouldn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
But that's.
I think he waits for the moment where, Steve-O goes off in right-hand direction and Locke goes off in left-hand direction, and then he picks the weirdest middle direction he can find.
And Q does jumping jacks in the middle of them.
Yeah, I know, right? And I think
it's never what you expect, but it always works.
Yeah.
And that's just a testament to Goon as a role player.
And it's also a credit to you guys for dropping it down to the 3, which a lot of DMs would have been frightened of. 3 people is, you have to not only know your characters, but you have to have more content, right? Because there's less stopping to make decisions. Combat's harder to balance. Because shit, we can't throw the big scary against them because there's not 6 of them with big magical powers, and if I kill one of them, there's no one left.
Right.
So credit to that. But was making that step down hard?
It
not in terms of making the decision to, because I understand there was a lot that went into that. I mean, as a DM, moving from a number of players to a 3-player, was that a difficult thing to do?
It's not that. It took a lot of research because at that time, that's when we were like, okay, we need to start thinking about doing things like theater of the mind. So like at that same time, that's when we were making changes to the stream and the way, the fundamental way we played the game without necessarily making changes to the mechanics or anything like that. We were just changing some of the production side sorts of things. So it did take a lot of research, and I spent a lot of hours reading, how to DM for small parties. And it turns out in a lot of ways it's a lot easier. It's a lot less to keep up with.
Really?
Because granted, I've got to be the luckiest DM in the world because of these 3 people. Like, they are so good at everything they do.
So good at what they do.
So I can just shut my fucking mouth for 10 minutes and they'll just go on an absolute rant. Like, they'll just go crazy and I'll be like, I'll just be sitting here like, okay.
But that only works because they're in the right place, right?
Exactly.
If they didn't enjoy the world they were in and understand it, and you can't take the credit away from the world you give them and the context you give them. At least I can't. I personally can't. I think I sit there and, because all I've done is DM, right? I sit there and go, wow, he's so lucky to have such amazing players. Oh my God, he's created such a vivid texture there with 2 lines. You give them so much to play with. I think it's wonderful to watch. So don't take that away from yourself.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I do think they would be just as good with any other DM, but I really appreciate it. Yeah,
I definitely. It's such a beautiful vibe. If you haven't been there, go be there. Go watch these people. Like, honestly,
making me emotional.
Go watch these people right now. And anyway, actually do stay to the end of the interview and then go watch them. Let's lighten the tone. A couple of quick-fire questions for you. Very simple, this or that. Night or day?
Night.
Walk or drive?
Drive.
Silence or noise?
Noise.
Beach holiday or city break?
City break.
Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
You're the first person to answer that instantly. It's always the one that throws people. Bath or shower?
Shower.
Dinner with friends or out to a party?
Dinner with friends.
Online shop or visit the store? Not during COVID, in general. Online shop or visit the store?
Typically online shop. I live on the outskirts of scenic nowhere, so it's difficult for me to,
Yeah, pen or pencil?
Pen.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
And while you're sleeping, is the window open or closed?
Closed.
Okay. Beautiful. A couple of streaming questions, and then we'll ask you some personal stuff. First of all, Zachywhack, the name.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you briefly mentioned the change from Wacky Zach to Zachywhack. How did the wacky, Zacky, wacky thing come about?
I wanted to let people, like, I wanted to have a name that instantly conveyed that I didn't take myself too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the long and the short of it. Why? Because, like, at the same time, when you get to know me, you find out that, like, I would so much rather have a conversation like we're having right now, like, deep philosophical, than just small talk about the weather.
Yeah.
I would so much rather do that. But at the same time, I like to not take myself too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people, when they meet me for the first time,
to be silly. Right?
Yeah, to be silly, to know that I'm not, to know that they can, be comfortable around me, if that makes sense.
Oh, so is the wacky as in I'm being wacky, I'm being goofy? It's not being wacky with a staff around somebody's head.
Right.
Because
no.
we discovered it does have an H in it. It is a whack with a staff, not a goofy wacky, right? In terms of
is
spelling.
wacky.
Yes,
Hold
wacky
on.
doesn't have an H in it.
Are you going to make me change my?
Wacky, the goofy type, does not have an H in it.
Well, shit.
Well, I certainly didn't expect you to tell me that you were surprised by it.
Yeah, you're giving me an existential crisis.
Yes.
So are you telling me with my username that I've had for years now, I'm implicated, like I'm implying that I'm implying violence. That's people's
No,
first
you see,
impression
the
of
way
me.
I see it, especially from a D&D circumstance, is you're that guy that's kind of okay just to sort of run around whacking stuff and have fun. And I think of that in the adventure sense as well. You know, you're running around whacking stuff and having fun instead of getting too deeply emotionally invested in X, Y, or Z, which you do then get deeply emotionally invested, but you tend to take your time getting there.
Sure.
And be silly.
Yeah,
so I still have the wacky sense. I just was using both types of the word.
Okay, yeah, no, it's intended to be like silly, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's just occurred to me that I have a misspelling.
I apologize. Well, this is why I asked. I did check there was an H in it, and
I think it still works.
And returning to SAS very briefly, do you have a favorite moment?
A favorite moment,
without too much detail for those of us who haven't caught up. I mean, I have, but some people haven't. Just a sort of an insight into something that really maybe caught you by surprise or made you emotional, or
the thing that comes to mind first is a combination of like emotional and just being proud of players for taking a risk, if that makes sense. When Kess drank the life well water, and like she had no idea what it was going to do, and she took 118 points of radiant damage like right off the bat, which by the way was 2 points away from instant death, because her HP was 60 at the time. So when she did that, and then because of that moment, that whole moment, that I don't know if you remember the moment I'm talking about, but there was a conversation. There was a conversation with someone that came about with an NPC that no one had met before. That came about as an aftermath of the choice to drink this weird water. That hadn't been planned.
Really?
No.
Oh my.
No.
I thought that was the plan.
No. She drank the life well water, and I was like, what the? So, like, I saw her taking this enormous risk, and in that moment, I was like, okay, what is the core tenet of DMing? Risk and reward. Yeah. So I was like, I've got to give her something. So, like, she did it, and she almost died, but they got a lot in that moment about this character that Locke had worked with me to create. Yeah. And then also like some hints as to some of the larger campaign themes that they would be dealing with. But yeah, no, that moment was not planned for.
Wow. Well, credit to you then, because it felt planned. It felt like you knew. It felt like you knew what was coming. It was really. Really surprised me.
I don't know if you. I don't know if you remember, but like she drank that life well water, and I think we took a break. And
yes, but I thought that was planned.
No,
the break was planned at that moment. You were like, "This is going to be really, really emotional and serious. Let's take the break." And then
I didn't know she was going to do that.
No,
I didn't know she was going to do that. So she said that she was going to drink it, and I was like, we're going to take a break, because I was like, that's a good cliffhanger. Also, I have to figure out what the fuck is about to happen.
It was a perfect moment for a cliffhanger, and it didn't come across as I need to think about what's going to happen at all. So well played.
I don't want to show my cards, but yeah, that's exactly what that was.
Marvelous. Am I right in saying, is that the same moment you were nominated for the award for? No.
The moment that we were nominated for was Q in the episode where Augustus leaves.
Because it was most emotional moments, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was quote. I think the category was called most feels moment.
Yeah.
And it's when Q gives away the ring that he had been given and says, I've found it's best not to get attached to things. That's the moment that we were nominated.
And am I right in saying the voting for that is closed?
Yeah, voting for that is closed.
I didn't get the results.
That award went to Into the Motherlands, which is a fantastic series.
And The Moment, I hadn't seen it, watched The Moment, and it's on my watch list now because of how The Moment was. So I'm not going to lie, I'm not entirely surprised. But also I feel like you were at a slight disadvantage because Q's Moment required a little bit more knowledge of him as a character to realize how much it made you feel.
Yeah, it requires some context. Yeah. But at the same time, like Motherlands like totally deserved it. And they've got a Kickstarter that's up right now. They're wanting to well, I mean, they've already funded the Kickstarter, but they're working on the stretch goals now.
Yeah.
They're wanting to publish their original campaign setting, and it's this wonderful like Afrofuturistic setting, and I can't wait to get it.
It's detailed as hell. Yeah, so
yeah,
it's really worth a watch.
Should be wonderful.
Yeah.
I imagine, me as a DM, I can't wait to read it and see what I can learn from it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, moving away from D&D and a bit more into the life of Zach himself. What is your favorite place in the world?
Favorite place in the world.
And this can be as simple as a particular armchair or as complicated as a balcony in the middle of Jerusalem.
Okay. I'll just keep it fairly simple. Epcot in Disney World.
Yeah. Oh, that's really sweet. That's really sweet. Yeah. For those of you who didn't watch the Lock episode, it's the same answer.
Was that her answer?
Yeah, it was.
I know that it was. I figured it was Disney, but like Epcot as well.
I think, is that the grass she was talking about outside?
Oh no, she was talking about a different park in Disney World.
Yeah.
It was a different park.
Oh right.
She was talking about there is a grassy area. God, that's high on the list too. There's this grassy area inside the park where you can just go and take your shoes off and sit.
Oh right. So what's Epcot then? Sorry, I thought in my head you answered with what she said. Yeah.
In Disney World, there are four different. It's a resort and it's got 4 different theme parks. So there's like the castle park that everyone thinks of first, and that's where she was talking about. And then Epcot is kind of like a little bit of a futuristic sort of place. It's like
cool.
You go there and learn about technology as well as like the history of like human communication. It's a little bit more educational, but at the same time, it's really like really. I mean, not to. I don't know. It's weird to conflate it in this way, but like it can be really emotional and almost like spiritual to see all these. There's this area where it's called World Showcase, where you have people from 11 different countries who have come in to like work in these promenades and teach people about their home country, and you learn a lot about the history of communication, and it's this it's really like humanizing in a way, which was really nice.
What a thing to experience inside a theme park. So that really makes sense. Tell us about the writing. Is it fair to say if streaming wasn't a thing, or even if streaming was a thing, your ideal career would be the writing?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
What sort of writing do you enjoy?
You mean to do or to read?
To write, genre wise.
Okay. I like, there is this, because of the popularity of like streaming D&D and TTRPGs, there is this subgenre I think that I can observe is maybe starting to pop up a little bit more. And I don't know, it's not just because of D&D and things like that, but it's becoming a little bit more accepted in the zeitgeist. This like NSE comedy sort of deal.
Yeah, 100%.
Things like the Adventure Zone, things like Critical Role, but then you've also got things popping up in popular culture, like comedy is starting to take an like think of like Thor Ragnarok, for example.
I was thinking of like Marvel in general. There's a lot of comedy in the Marvel world.
Yeah. And Thor Ragnarok is one of the best, like Guardians of the Galaxy, things like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, lots of like you hear a lot about in the 80s and 90s there were these action comedy movies, and it seems like now there's this subgenre of like fantasy with really, really heavy.
You're just setting the A-Team in Middle Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Or in the Star Wars universe or somewhere, but you know what I mean?
Right,
yeah.
I'm with you.
I think that's brilliant. That's complicated though.
That's I mean, just like fantasy elements with a lot of like humor ingrained into them.
I'm
humor and humanity
impressed.
all at the same time.
I mean, I've written books, a couple of books.
Oh yeah.
That I keep very much private. But I mean, I've written a couple of fantasy novels. And the one thing I struggle most with is humor. So it's really interesting to hear somebody come from the other perspective of finding humor and fantasy blend is their niche.
I can see it being very difficult because like when you're writing a fantasy novel specifically, like writing prose, you have so much world building you have to do, and you have so much like exploring a character's psyche. I can totally see that being.
Well, I'm also just terrible with humor. I don't enjoy watching comedy films, comedy shows, comedy anything.
You're a very funny person. Like you're a very funny person to like.
That's entirely accidental. Doing it on purpose is when yes, but doing it on purpose when you're writing is quite difficult. I mean, you see the comedians on stage say, you know, it's all easy when you're making a joke on a panel show, but as soon as you have to write your own shit, it's terrifying, right? I mean, what mad props. That's incredible. I
appreciate it.
So yeah. For those of you who don't know, you should have read Zacky's About Me. He is an aspiring writer. But yeah, I think it's something you've talked about sort of on and off over quite a long period of time, right?
Yeah. If you follow me on Twitter, you have probably seen me tweet a lot about different, writing projects and things that I like to do. It goes in hand with, and it goes in hand with Dungeons and Dragons and being a DM. I feel like they supplement each other really well.
Yeah, 100%. I was about to say, I do think we see a small reflection of that in your NPC writing. It is fair to say that of all the different genres of D&D that I've watched, for an actual NPC to make me laugh, as opposed to the response to an NPC make me laugh, SAS would be one of my first on the list. Because when you watch Critical Role, right, it's the way the players react to NPCs that makes you laugh. But sometimes when you're watching SAS, the NPC will make you laugh. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered if no one else turned up for the conversation. The NPC will just make you laugh. So yeah. I
have this fear that that's me being selfish and trying to like take.
No. It's you being funny. And it gives your players something to laugh about, and it takes the stress off of them occasionally. And I think it's great. Brilliant. No, go for it.
I'm glad.
What is your biggest fear in life? Sorry, we just changed topic drastically. Sorry.
Yeah, that is.
What is your biggest fear in life?
My biggest fear. This is gonna seem this might sound like total horseshit, but I absolutely mean it. My biggest fear is negatively affecting anyone else.
Yeah.
Like taking less from the universe than I give.
That is
taking more.
Yeah, I think that is fair to say that can cause a humongous amount of anxiety, thinking that you're a detriment.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that would be my biggest fear, I think, for sure.
I think as well that you can see that sometimes, in the way that you comport yourself. You're very careful to always be the person who, turns it back, is giving, etc. So credit to you for managing that fear in such a positive manner. I mean, I suppose in some ways it is a positive fear, right? God forbid, if every single person walked around scared that they would take away more than they gave, we'd actually have a nice world to live in. So, it is a positive fear in a sense, but yes, I definitely think it comes across in the way you comport yourself.
That's very kind. I appreciate that.
What motivates you to work hard?
Probably that very same thing.
Yeah.
Probably that fear of taking more from the universe than I can give.
Fair enough. And what is your hero? Who is your hero or your inspiration? This can be a celebrity or somebody you know personally.
Got to pick just one?
No.
Okay.
It's okay, Zach. You can have Beyonce and Britney.
Sure. Yeah, that's. As far as like people in my life, the first thing that comes to mind is my dad.
Yep.
Just because he my parents had me when they were 18, and they are like miraculously still together. But
wonderful.
But it's they know that that's kind of an exception, not the rule. But seeing the things, like thinking back to the things that he had to do when I was young. I obviously respect the hell out of him for that. But I keep coming back to Locke. Locke is also my hero. Is that weird?
No, that's my hero. Not Locke. My husband. No,
Yeah.
Locke is wonderful, but she's not my hero. But she should be.
Right. I understand.
No, I get.
And then as far as and just because I know what she has to deal with, and I know the things that she has to overcome, and I see her work so fucking hard all the time. So that's I strive to the amount of commitment that she has. And as far as celebrities are concerned, I really love the McElroy brothers. Are you familiar with them?
Only in name.
They do the Adventure Zone. It's a D&D podcast. They do My Brother
Right.
and Me.
Yep. I know who you mean.
They're hilarious. And they seem like very kind people. They do a lot of charity work. So I really respect them.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. What holds you back?
What holds me back? Do we get a little bit personal? Is that cool?
Yeah. Well, these are personal questions.
I was recently diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder a few months ago.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've had to I've struggled with that's something I've dealt with my whole life, but recently having a diagnosis and having things that I can, medicine that I can take and things that I can do to actually help with that. That's been something that's held me back throughout my life as far as my focus.
Yeah.
It can often just absolutely wreak havoc on my focus. That's one of the bigger things.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. Your chance to rant. What really pisses you off? Just these can be little tiny things or huge things. It can be the people who don't put their mugs in the dishwasher, or it can be the people that are selfish and want to give back to the world.
My biggest pet peeve, or it's more than a pet peeve, but it's my biggest rage in the world is people who take advantage of people who don't know any better.
Yeah.
And that can be as that can be on a very micro level or a very macro level, to the point of taking advantage of society and societal norms and twisting those for malevolent means, or just taking advantage of people for a quick dollar, things like that.
I can agree with that.
Just general manipulation, if that makes sense.
No, definitely, I can agree.
But also, I really hate it when people use their phone in movie theaters.
Oh yeah, what is with that? And also, have you any idea how fucking bright that thing is? You think you're being subtle under the fucking chair? Piss off! You're distracting me. And then I look in the corner, and all I can see is your damn Twitter. Yeah, no, bastards. Yeah. Although I did see somebody once who was hiding their phone in their popcorn bag, and I thought, okay, you're quite funny. They sort of had you guys have boxes, right? But here we have a bag of popcorn, and she'd sort of shunted her phone into the popcorn and was sneakily reading her text, clearly trying to hide it from the person she was sat with. And I thought, okay, props to you. But in general, don't use your phone in a movie theater. It's just fucking rude. If you didn't want to watch the film, fuck off outside. I couldn't agree more.
I feel like as soon as I haven't been back to a movie since COVID started,
it's been
even
a long
though
time, right?
Probably it's probably safe enough where I could now. But I feel like the moment, I'm afraid I'm gonna absolutely lose my shit the moment that happens again. This new Zach, who's been through COVID, who has less patience with
humans,
with such things. Yeah, with 100%. Humans. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Also, Skullback says 10 a.m. movies are the best because no one goes to them. There's a reason why nobody goes to them. You can't watch a movie at 10 o'clock in the fucking morning. What's wrong with you?
I can watch a movie at 10 a.m.
Really? Okay, you're both wrong. That's just wrong. I can't. No.
10 a.m. movies are good. My happy place is noon. I go to a noon matinee. It's $5 cheaper. I'm in there by myself. It's
what time do people wake up?
Well, I mean, for a noon movie, I would wake up at 10:30 or so.
Yeah, you see, no, that's a breakfast movie. No, I can't be dealing with that. No, Dan, I know that I would sleep until 4 p.m. if given the choice. However, even if I got up at 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 a.m. movie, 12 p.m. movie, it's just, no, I couldn't cope with that. Like, to me, a movie is an evening process. Like, my brain is
I can
my brain
understand
is
that.
far too slow. The only movie I could watch at 10 a.m. in the morning is like Bambi, where like I don't have to think in any way whatsoever. My brain is completely dead.
Hold on. Let me turn in the tables on this interview. How can you watch Bambi of all movies?
Because I know exactly what's going to happen at every given minute.
Right, you know exactly what's going to happen, but do you still not have that emotional, like when Bambi's mom dies? Spoiler alert, sorry guys. When Bambi's mom dies, does that not just ruin your fucking
Because
day?
I know that it's going to be happy afterwards because I'm okay with it. Like, it's like watching Lion King. Like, yes, he died. The first 10 times he died, it was kind of sad. But now I know, like, actually, do you know what? Simba going to be cool guy. Wicked, I'm okay with this. No, I could watch a Disney film at 10 a.m., even if it's got the feels. Or, like, something really just stupid. And mind you, I wouldn't choose to watch, like, The Hangover at any given time. But if I was to watch The Hangover, it would be at 10 o'clock in the morning. Whereas, if I'm going to watch, like... I mean, could you imagine you go to the movie theater at 10 a.m. to watch Inception? Like, fuck that. No, I haven't even had enough coffee yet. Like, no.
I would need to be caffeinated.
I think people probably work jobs that require brain in daytime as well. I've never had one of those. I was a bartender for 10 years. My brain functions in evenings, and yeah, I can't. No, 10 a.m. is just the wrong time to watch a movie. What is next for Zach? For Zachywhack? What is next? What is going on? What is coming? What are we streaming right now? Are we on Mass Effect right now?
Yeah. We're on Mass Effect 2. We're working on the Legendary Edition. We're having so much fun, Mass Effect. I had never played the series before.
Oh, right. Okay, so this is not a revisit. This is a first time.
Yeah, this is first
wonderful
time for me.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I'm absolutely loving it. As far as stream goes, I'm not entirely sure what's next. Probably some more BioWare stuff because we're having a whole lot of fun with that. We've got a whole lot of SAS. This campaign, it's tough to know exactly how far into this campaign we are, but I imagine, like, I would like to think that we'll do another campaign once this is over with.
Definitely. Would you ever go back to having more people, or is this group so wonderfully dynamically balanced that you would be very hesitant to do so?
It depends on the situation, and it depends on the opportunities.
Makes sense.
And it depends on the really the person.
Yeah, of course.
Because this group is like the thing you have to manage your table as a DM in such a way that everyone feels comfortable, and this group feels so comfortable with one another. And that's how we're able to, like, that's how I'm able to just sit back and let roleplay take the wheel, and let them have these.
And they also happen to be fantastic actors that commit 100% to their, or 1000% to their characters, and who know each other's characters and themselves so well and keep track of everything. So yeah, I can't imagine how you would add somebody. But you know, there are more people like that in the world, I guess.
Sure, absolutely. You know, we're not closed off to it, but at the same time, that seems like, you know, not where our focus needs to be at the moment.
No, I agree. I was just curious as to if it came up.
You'd be like, no. No, it's not a hard no. But as far as like other stuff, I'm currently, like, you know, the writing projects. I've got my graphic novel script that I'm rewriting. I'm almost finished with that.
And is that going to be something you're going to be perhaps not maybe publishing, but is that going to be something that's going to be publicated, if you get what I mean? Is it going to be something that you are letting other people into to see?
Sure. I would love to. I'm not an artist. Oh no, she's limping. Did you give her Claritin? But like, we had another dog get stung, so I guess something has happened in the back.
Oh no.
Are you there? Oh, okay. It's something eventually I would love for people to be able to see it, but I'm not an artist. So I've got like 200 pages of this graphic novel that's just a script. So if
I see your problem here. Yes.
Yeah. If I were to draw it, it would just be stick figures. So the process for publication would be like, I would like pitch it basically to literary agents who would then find an artist, and they would then try to find a publisher to pay the money to have it published. So that would, you know, that's the goal, but that's a very long process. But that's
exciting.
That's what's on my radar at the moment.
That's super exciting still. Oh, fantastic.
So what about you? What's next after this interview? What are you doing exactly next?
Main campaign that is the longest running campaign, which we call main campaign because it was the first campaign, but it's not the main campaign. It's just a campaign. So it started off as Seeking Vivian. It's now the War of the Witch Kings. We do them in 6-week chapters to 8-week chapters. So this is chapter 2 of Seeking Vivian. Vivian has been seeked successfully.
Good.
And is now a fully formed person as opposed to an ethereal body, and I think is currently getting stupendously drunk in a tavern. And we're going to see what happens with them moving forward. And then games of yours tomorrow, and then new campaign Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday one shots, all sorts of shit. In all honesty, just look at the schedule because I can't even remember what's going on. Basically a shit ton of D&D. That's what you can look forward to here. That's
how to live.
That's where we're at. It's been such a pleasure, Zach. Do you know what? I had a very strange route of discovering you. So at this moment, I'm gonna just while I'm talking, a couple of minutes, guys. If you do have any questions for Zach, please ask away. Be respectful, and I'll do my best to make sure they're asked. While they're doing that, a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to tell you the journey of discovering Zachywhack.
Okay.
Right? Because for the first 5 weeks of knowing you, I thought you were a strangely named Loch Ness. So, Steve-O introduced me to SAS, right? I watched it on the YouTube, and you were the DM, but I made the strange assumption in my head that the DM was the streamer, right? Because, I was just sort of... I'm quite a flicky YouTube person, so I'll get to the story straight away, and I'll watch the story, and when the story's over, done. I'll skip through the breaks, that sort of stuff. So I thought you were Loch Ness. So I found Loch Ness on Twitch, and to turn up in the middle of a World of Warcraft raid, and you looked super different. So I watched Loch, got into Loch, and I was like, hey, who's the DM for SAS if it's not you, because obviously it's streamed here. And then I realized that it was streamed on Twitch, and then I could look through the VODs, and I could look through the chat, and I was like, oh my god, there's Zach. Right, let's go see him. And honestly, I have no idea what game you were playing when I first turned up. But you're one of these people who I'm so jealous of, because I'm rubbish at this, who just has fun with things, right? It doesn't matter when you turn up to your chat or where, it's fun, right? That is the purpose of the stream, is to have fun. And yes, you do the odd emotional moment. We get emotionally invested in decisions that the game has to do. Obviously, SAS is incredibly emotional sometimes. But as a person watching you, it feels like your essence is fun. And that is such a joy to come to. And it feels like you can step in 5 minutes before the end of stream, or 2 minutes after you've gone live, and you're there ready to engage in a way that is welcoming and opening, but fun, right? It is positivity centered. I don't want you to sound like one of these horribly wholesome streamers that's like, you have to be positive, because I don't think you do. I think you can come to Zach's chat and pretty much say what you're feeling. I mean, obviously, please don't turn up for therapy. He's got better things to do with his life. But you can come into Zach's channel and talk in however you're feeling, and it's not like you have to be positive, but you have a way of flipping things to be positive. You know, it's so fun-centered and so laughter-heavy that it's a joy to be in. And Zach, like most people who I interview, streams for me at what is 2 o'clock in the morning, at the end of what is usually a very busy day, and I turn up and I'm like, but I laugh. And seriously, if you're looking for somewhere to go, feel at home, feel comfortable, but also just laugh, Zach is the place to go. So please use the links, all the links. Watch SAS, because it is the thing. Follow on Twitter, actually, because you will also laugh. It's not necessarily what Zach posts, although he does post some good stuff, but the things he likes and shares will give you all the chuckles. I love seeing the feed come through. And go watch him on Twitch.
Like all of the words you just said have given me a kindness overload.
Good.
I don't know how I'm going to like function for the rest of the day.
Well, I'm quite straight up. I don't interview people I don't like. I don't interview people I don't watch, because it's fucking pointless, right? So I'm here because I like you. You're here because I like you. Thank you so much for being here. It really is.
The feeling is reciprocated, my friend.
An honor. And yeah, I look forward to years worth of D&D from you, please. I want years of SAS. Not months, not weeks.
I certainly hope so.
In a decade, when I've crossed it out and ran out of all world building because I've run 5 campaigns, there will still be SAS to inspire me. I am determined. So please
I certainly hope so.
keep that up and keep the streaming up. I hope the dogs are okay. Please go and rub
They
some
seem to be
interesting
okay.
gel into their faces.
Snips is sitting in my floor now, and she's limping when she has to put weight on her foot, but she's not acting lethargic. So she's not ill. She's just in a bit of pain.
That's
So
good.
I'm not exactly
Well,
sure.
sort of.
But yeah, I think I'm afraid I just knocked a. Okay. I think I just knocked a like a wasp nest loose.
Ooh,
But
scary stuff.
hopefully
Wasps are my
everybody
biggest fear, so honestly, absolutely terrified of the bastards. So I'm not jealous of you or your dogs
Yeah, we
in
have
this
a lot
current
of them. We have a
situation.
lot of them.
Yeah, but it's been such a pleasure. When are you next live?
I am next live.
That's not an
I
easy
was
question to
wanting to
answer,
go
is it?
live at some point today, but I've had a lot of housework to do. I'm thinking about going live tonight.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's be there. Party at Zach's house. Zach's place. Don't turn up to his
Yeah.
house. Turn up to his stream. He's not. Yeah, I mean, if the viewers come to your house while
Probably
you're trying
not,
to stream, it's going to be a bit of a mess. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'll be there tonight. It's such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
That's right.
This has been so much fun.
Good. I'm glad you felt that way.